Hi guys, welcome back to Fairs Tutorials. In today's episode, we'll be looking at Tourism Unit 2, Module 3, which is entitled Entrepreneurship. And today we're kicking things off with concepts in entrepreneurship. Stay tuned. Tourism Unit 2, Module 3, Entrepreneurship, and we're looking at Content 1, which is entitled Concepts in Entrepreneurship. Learning objective. By the end of the session, you should be able to explain the key concepts in entrepreneurship. Now, let's get started. And we're defining the terms entrepreneur, entrepreneurship, innovation, micro, small, medium enterprises, and also risk willingness and risk aversion. Now, what I have here for you are 4 different descriptions, or we may say definition, of who is an entrepreneur, right? So you will be able to choose the one that is most suited to you. Now, let's get started. You will find that each of these terms have their unique key terms that are found in each other's definition or description. All right, now let's get started. An entrepreneur is one who is able to identify a business opportunity and take advantage of it. He or she is also prepared to take risk associated with the business venture, or the capacity and willingness to develop, organize, and manage a business venture along with any of its risk in order to make a profit. Or we may also say an entrepreneur is an individual who identifies and pursues opportunities beyond the resources he or she currently controls. And finally, we have an entrepreneur is one who is able to change ideas into action in an uncertain and risky environment. Now, guys, let us take a look at all these definitions. Which key term is popping out at you? If your answer is risk, a person who is willing to take risk, you are correct. All right, let's go back to number 1's definition. So it says that an entrepreneur is one who is able to identify a business opportunity and take advantage of it. He or she is also, let's look at this, he or she is also prepared to take risk associated with the business venture. The second definition, the capacity and willingness to develop, organize. So we may speak of develop there as a key term. Organize and manage business venture along with any risk. Do we see that here? Along with any risk in order to make a profit. Third definition, an entrepreneur is an individual who identifies and pursues opportunities beyond the resources he or she currently holds. So if you're pursuing opportunities beyond the resources that you have, that is indeed a risk, right? Because you may be putting yourself into debt, right? Or we may say one who is able to change ideas into action in an uncertain and risky environment. So whichever definition that you choose, you notice that risk, risky venture, risky environment, right, is a unique term as we're describing who is an entrepreneur. Good? All right. Now, let us move on to our next term, and we're looking at innovation. Now, innovation may be defined as the process of translating an idea or invention into a good or service that creates value or for which customers will pay. Right? So when we speak of innovation, it's where the idea or invention moves from just conception and into a good or a service. Good? Also, innovation may be defined as implementing new ideas, creating dynamic products, or just by improving existing services. Good. Or innovation can also be defined as the catalyst for the growth and success of a business and help to adapt and grow in the marketplace. Good. So that's the purpose of innovation. Now, so the two first definition, you can choose between either. So you may say it's a process of translating an idea or invention into a good or service that creates value for which customers will pay. Or you may also include that innovation may also be defined as implementing new ideas, creating dynamic products, or improving existing services. Good. All right, now we're moving on to micro, small, medium enterprises. Good. Now SMEs refers to any business activity or enterprise engaged in an industry. Such enterprise are generally privately owned and operated, sole proprietorships, corporations, or partnerships. Now, let us look at the different classification of these enterprise. Good. Now, a business with a head count of fewer than 250 is classified as a medium size. So, a business with a head count of fewer than 250 persons is classified as medium size. Now, a business with a head count fewer than 50 is classified as small, while a business with a head count fewer than 10 is considered micro. In summary, SMEs refers to any business activity or enterprise engaged in an industry, right? And these enterprises, they can be privately owned and operated as sole proprietors. They can be corporations, and they can also be partnerships as it relates to the ownership, right? Now, a business that is considered a small, medium-sized business has what? 250 persons. A small business have 50, and a micro has fewer than 10. So the medium enterprises has fewer than 250. The small enterprises have a head count of fewer than 50. And the micro businesses have a fewer than 10 head count, right? Those are considered micro. Now, let us look at risk willingness and risk aversion. Now, based on this picture, these images that you're seeing on your screen, can you tell the difference between risk willingness and risk aversion? Or based on your prior knowledge, right? We spoke of risk when we were looking at the definition of who is an entrepreneur. The risk came out in almost all of those definitions. Now, risk willingness, use your context clues and tell me what you think that means. And the opposite of risk willingness is what? Risk aversion. Very good. All right, let us look at these key terms. So risk willingness, or we may say risk tolerance, is a degree of uncertainty that an investor can withstand without losing sleep. Right? Risk willingness is an important component in investing. You should have a realistic understanding of your ability and willingness to stomach large swings in the value of his or her investment. So when you're willing to take the risk, or when you're able to tolerate a risk and go to bed, you invest as an entrepreneur and you go to bed without losing sleep, right? That is risk willingness, and that's an ideal characteristic of an entrepreneur. So you're willing to take risk. So entrepreneurs are risk takers. They don't think of the consequences. They don't think of what if that should happen, what will I do? They go to their beds, they sleep well even though they are taking risk with investments. Good? Now, risk aversion refers to the behavior of investors when exposed to uncertainty, to attempt to reduce that uncertainty. It is the reluctance of a person to accept a bargain with an uncertain payoff rather than another bargain with a more certain but possibly lower expected payoff, right? Now, let us look at this practically. For example, a risk-averse investor might choose to put his or her money into a bank account with a low but guaranteed interest rate. So the interest rate is low, but guess what? It is guaranteed. It is a must that they will make more, but it may take a longer time or it may be lower than normal. Good? So that rather than into a stock that might have high expected return, but also involves a chance of losing value. Good? So let us think about it this way. So it's like some persons that choose to go on, say, excursions or skydiving. You know the risks that are involved. So some persons may stay away because they may thinking of the risk that they may die. While for the investor, as it relates to risk willingness, they are happy to take the risk, knowing that yes, some accident may happen, but guess what? At the end of the day, they are looking forward to enjoyment. Good? So let us look at it that way. Now we're at our activity. Good? And our activities, these questions are past paper questions, and let us look what they are. So for both 2016 and 2018, the question that came on this topic was to define the term entrepreneurship, and that's 2 marks there. In 2017 and 2019, the same question came, define the term innovation. And in 2019, to differentiate between risk willingness and risk aversion. Good? So ensure that you know all these definitions, guys, and the difference between risk willingness and also risk aversion. You're awesome. You've made it to the end of the session. Please remember to subscribe, like, comment, turn on your notification bells so you can be notified when there's another upload. Most of all, share with persons who you know will find this information useful. Thank you for making it Fair's tutorial.